Most of the night hanging out with Sanjay, checking out his tank, talking about corals and fish, and now it's time to take a walkthrough of his fantastic reef tank with the man himself, Dr. Sanjay Yoshi. So prepare yourselves, because this is a reef on another level. All right, Sanjay, you've had me all night. We've already been talking reef.
Yeah.
Tell me something about your reef tank. I don't even know where to start. The thing's just totally amazing. How about volume and dimensions?
I'm sorry, 500 gallons, 7 feet long, 4 feet front to back, and 30 inches tall. So it adds up to about a little bit less than 500 gallons.
And how long has this tank been here?
Tank's been here since 2006.
2006.
Yeah, so it's towards the end of 2006 is when I first started going. So I would say it's roughly about 10 plus years.
So, for someone who had never seen your tank and who wasn't watching this video, how would you describe your reef tank, in just a few sentences?
Other than awesome?
Other than awesome. But the type of tank, the style of tank.
The style of the tank is mostly dominated by Acropora. I mean, that's what they are in here.
Yeah, so there's
all stony corals.
There's community reefs, there's stony coral reefs, there's SPS reefs, and then there's Acropora reefs.
That's probably what I would call this.
Acros are the main events.
Right.
So, all right, let's talk about light and flow. I see a lot of MP60s in here.
Yeah, there's 3 MP60s in here right now, 1 MP40. There's 2 Vectra L1 pumps that are running closed loops. And there's 1 Dart pump that's my return. I'm using Sea Swirls.
How many you got?
So I got 3 Sea Swirls going in here.
3 corners. 3 Sea Swirls, 3 corners.
Yep. And these Sea Swirls are on my closed loop.
In a choked Acropora tank, I see the benefit, because you really got to get that flow in between the corals and everywhere. So for this type of reef, I definitely see. So how many MP60s do you have?
3 right now.
3?
Yeah.
What's that back there? Is that old
MP40? That's MP40, old MP40 that's covered with the coral now. I'm not a big fan of running a lot of water through my sump.
Yeah, me neither.
So my sump basically runs off of 1 reef flow dart.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of flow through the sump. You deal with bubbles. You deal with other issues.
Yeah, and messes. All right, Sanjay. So you have fantastic coloration. It's no secret that you really love balanced, natural daylighting. And can you crack the hood and show us what you're using today?
Now I've been using LEDs. I've been using LEDs now for almost 3 years.
Where did you start using? What lights did you start using?
I first went with the G2 Pros when I switched.
So the Ecotech Marine Radion G2
right.
Pro.
Right. And I had 8 of those in here.
And so now you have 8 Radion G4 Pros.
Right. And I like these a lot better because they have I think they're a better mix of LEDs. I think throwing in the warm LEDs
I
in here
love the warm white.
Helped a lot with the look.
Nothing brings out those true pinks and purples like a warm white. So that was a very good move on there. So you keep your lights on a daylight schedule?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, lights come on at 12 o'clock and they go off around 10 o'clock. They start going
Tell me
off.
about the spectrum change that happens right when you get home and you're ready to watch your tank.
I actually dim the blues a little bit.
the blues dim automatically a little bit because you want it even whiter. What is your verdict on LEDs and versus halides for your application currently?
I like them. I mean, it's taken my chiller off the system, which is one big thing I wanted to do. I would like to see a little more spread coming out of these, if it's possible. I'd like to see a better color mixing. Because if you look at my corals, especially the ones on top and the ones that tend to table out, you can actually see a little bit of a disco effect of the colors not mixing up there. But when you get lower, the colors mix better.
Yeah, we've gone through all the nuts and bolts, and so now we can actually talk about some of the flowers in your garden. So I don't know, how do you want to describe some of your corals? Maybe just point out some of your favorites.
They're all my favorites, otherwise they wouldn't be in this tank.
All right, that's a good point.
It's a combination of my favorites and the ones that like to live with me.
Yeah, your pearlberry is
the pearlberry is one of my
stunning.
favorite corals. It's a very pretty coral, and it keeps its colors pretty much under any lighting conditions, most water conditions, and it maintains that really nice bluish.
You've got a nice colony of fox flame that
There's a
actually
fox
looks
flame.
like a small acro colony instead of just an encrusted stump.
Yep, that's about a year's worth of growth from an encrusted stump.
Very cool. And you're starting up
There's a leprechaun beard.
a leprechaun beard. Okay.
Yeah, that's the famous leprechaun beard.
God, the corals are just like close together, and they're just amazing.
Yeah, I have this bad habit of putting them too close
And
when they're small.
one of my favorites is
And,
your robusta / abrotanoides in the back with pink and the green polyps.
That's a beautiful coral. That's
Very
one
nice.
of
I got
the
a
nice
great
ones.
shot of
You got a
it
good
from
shot
the
of it.
back. And then over here, you're developing a little flower pot garden.
Right, I'm trying to get a collection of Goniaporas going.
Yeah, when I was in Australia, like I've told you, they have so many flower pots and so many tanks doing really well. So definitely going to give those a more concerted effort here shortly.
'Cause one of the things you'll notice with this tank is because they're all sticks, nothing moves.
It's really interesting to point out, like, there's 2 soft corals in this tank. You got a piece of Grubes gorgonian right there in that corner,
Right.
and then you have the large polyp Xenia. Those
I had a huge colony of this gorgonian up here that filled up all this area, and it was giving a lot of motion, but it was taking up too much valuable space for acros.
Man,
So that had to go.
So you want a
saw it
little bit more
upstairs in the
movement.
tank. So yeah, it kind of got to the point where there wasn't any movement in the tank.
except for the fish.
So I started adding more fish.
That's one way to get movement.
Yeah, so I've added a lot of fish in here now. Small ones, I like small fish.
Yeah, me
So I have
too.
lots of small fish.
And then this pink table you have here in the front.
Right.
The colors, it's okay, but the shape is amazing.
The color's actually usually nicer. You get a more of a blue growth edge.
Yeah.
Right now my colors in the tank are a little bit subdued.
Why do you think the colors are a little muted?
Just, lack of TLC.
Just lack of TLC. Just general je ne sais quoi.
You leave it for 6 weeks,
And there's a real Acropora bonsai, Garth bonsai. And then there's a coral that looks like a Paletta pink tip, but just tighter, a little bit brighter.
Yeah, it's one of those wild colonies that came in.
All right, moving on up. There's this gorgeous kind of Christmassy shaped branches on this acro right here, front and center. I know you wouldn't have it in the middle of the reef if it wasn't special. Tell us about that one. Go ahead and introduce your coral.
That's the static shock.
The static
I have to
shock.
come up with names for these, otherwise people don't really appreciate the corals.
Were you
these
walking
days.
around on this carpet in socks and got like a shock
It
and
was
you're
winter
like,
time, yeah, exactly.
very nice.
So
That
that's
one's
the static
really
shock.
pretty.
Yeah, it's got this light purple lavender body, and it's got green tips to every single coral light.
very nice.
So yeah, the other thing with these corals is a lot of them have stories because they come from my friends.
Yes, yes.
So that's the other part of it. Right?
Let's
So I
talk
could
about
probably
let's talk
tell
about
you-
one coral in here that's from one of your friends.
Right.
You want to point them out?
This one here, that's the Sandolitha.
What's
that I
this-
got from this guy who was a student in South Carolina, some kid called Jake Adams.
How long ago was that?
That was like almost 13, 14 years ago.
I can't believe you
Right?
still have it.
So
Have
he
grown
gave
it
me
so
the little
big.
dime-sized piece.
Back then, that was impossible to get. It was
Right.
just like the first sandal coral we'd ever
So,
seen.
I've had it since then, and I keep it there only because, again, like I said, most of my corals have sentimental value. And
You know, that is something I share too. Every coral, like, it's not just the way it looks. To
Right.
me, they're like my diary.
They're
you know?
stories.
Everyone is a trip, is a person, is a story.
I mean, that's what I like about the hobby. All my corals have these stories. I used to go give talks. I would go see people's tanks. You know, I'd be looking at the tank, drooling over their tanks. I would say, "Oh, that's a great coral," and the next thing they would say is, "Oh, do you want a frag of it?"
Of course.
You know, and they'd give you a frag of it.
Of course.
Those are the good old days.
All right, let's finish cycling through your coral collection. Tell me about this dominating Acropora Florida that you have up at the top. That thing's insane.
I've had it for about 3+ years now, and it started with a frag about that size. So it was like what people would call a mini colony. I would still call it a frag.
Yeah.
I've fragged it a few times,
Okay.
but
It's
I
weird.
really wanted to grow big, and I think it's a bad placement for it.
Yeah.
But I
It's
didn't-
actually not supposed to grow into a table. It's like this
branchy,
thick, almost
yeah,
elkhorn looking
right.
stuff.
But it's a light hog, as you can see. It can take a lot of light.
I think it's absorbing about 50% of the light from 1 radion because it's under 1 radion.
Yeah. Squirrels, I
And
think.
you got classic Milka stylo right there.
Yep.
And your red dragon doesn't look like anybody else's red dragon.
Well, the red-
shape of this, the branches themselves are the same, but it's so much tighter.
Well, there was another colony of the red dragon right here, which was the size of almost a basketball.
Wow.
And that one was not as dense. It was very sparse and it grew like perfect round shape. But when it got that big, it started to die in the middle.
Yes. You see this a
And-
lot in the wild. Like
Right.
overgrown acros, they just start dying from the
Yeah,
center.
because
They start
they don't get
crumbling
light,
apart.
they don't get
But
flow.
then all those branches grow into new corals.
So I took that one out and I started a new colony of it. And that one grew a lot tighter, I think because of the flow and the light. Here there's less flow and less light.
Right
So the coral was more open. And whereas up there, it's getting more light and more flow.
Wonderful Oregon blue tort, which we decided was definitely one of the top 10 corals of all time.
It is.
And you have just a whole diversity and smattering of corals along the bottom.
Yeah, I have this habit of throwing stuff in the sand bed. I originally started off by saying I'll keep a clean sand bed, and you can see what's happening.
Yeah.
So when I get zoanthids, I just throw them in the sand bed.
I love this pink costaneria, you know, because this one, it's one of those corals that doesn't get any fluorescent colors. It's purple, it's pink, that's what you get.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool.
Very cool. And
It's
then
encrusting coral, grows really nicely.
a gorgeous tabling outflow. Very nice. All right. So that was a fabulous overview of the corals and really like a flyby synopsis of the corals because there's so many in here. We could do a video on like
Each
you know,
one.
every one of them. But you have a fantastic fish population. Tons of fish, some medium-sized fish, some common fish, some rare fish. So tell me about some of your fish and save the best one for last.
Well, from the fish population, a lot of these fish have been here for at least 10 years, or at least the bigger fish.
Yeah.
So it's like the blue Tang there. I got him as a 1-inch size fish when I first set up the tank, and he's there.
And that blue tang survived
Yeah.
a little carpet surfing incident.
Carpet surfing incident where he was absolutely dry.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a miracle that he's alive.
yeah. He was
I mean, that's
completely
totally
dry,
right.
fins rotted off. And
Yep.
long story short is he made it.
He made it.
You got a gorgeous pair of, what are those, black ice something?
Well, those are my photons, snowflake photons.
Snowflake photons. They have a
Right.
500-gallon tank, and because you don't have any flowy stuff for them to host in, they went and hosted in
the corner.
in the far front corner. That's
And
crazy.
they're laying eggs in the corner.
And they're on eggs right now. What else you got? You got a variety of wrasses.
Yeah, there's a few wrasses.
Tell me
in
about
here.
your thing with the Rolandite damselfish.
Yeah, these are one of my favorite fish. They're very mellow. They're beautifully colored. I first got these from Jason Edwards in Connecticut. I fell in love with these fish. Got 6 of them. They lasted for about 10 years. I was down to 2, and I've been looking for more of these. And then Live Aquaria had them, and I was able to acquire a few more and build up my population. They fight among themselves a little
Yeah.
bit, but as you can see, they space themselves out in the tank. They carve their little territories.
Very cool. Now
They like to live in little holes. And once in a while, you'll see 2 of them in a hole, and then you know they're spawning in there.
Very cool. Let's talk about
And I have my Ballast Angels in here, which you can't see right now. There's the male.
The male
That
Ballast
male who
Angel.
used to be a female.
Yeah.
A spawning female that turned into a male.
There's the girl back
And
there.
there's the female, the other female. I used to have a trio of them. I lost the male, and that's when the switch happened.
Let's see. You got a couple joculators in here.
Yeah, I don't see them awake yet, but they're in there.
It's all right. I'll just insert some B-roll that I got of them last night.
There's
And you also
joculators in here. There's
There's
two
a-
yellow tangs, a purple tang, and there's a hippo tang and an azo tang.
and there's a banded angel that likes to do laps.
Right, and he's not awake yet.
Yeah. And then what about
I got like 6 assessors in here that you can't even see.
Yeah, I caught a glimpse of
there.
one. So tell me a little bit about your
Uh,
cryptic fish.
So yeah, I love cryptic. I like lots of small fish. So I like the cryptic ones because they don't look like they're crowding your tank. But they're all
Yes.
in there.
You can have a lot of action.
Yeah. So that's why I have these assessors. I have 6 of them in there. I have a golden angel that you see once maybe.
I
once in
saw
a
it.
week.
I saw it.
And then I have a possum wrasse, which is also a very cryptic fish.
Trying to sneak up on this banded angel over here.
Yeah, he's kind of awake now. So.
All right, let's get. Who's the king of the tank?
The king of the tank is a Lenardi. I got him as a juvenile almost 3 years ago. I have to check my records. Maybe it's even 4. I think it's 4 because I had the accident with the tank 3 years ago. So he survived it. So at least 4 years old.
So, for those of you that don't know, Lenardi wrasses, close relative of the feminine wrasse, come from Western Australia. Maybe a dozen make it to America each year, maybe that many. And just a gorgeous, gorgeous fish. It just looks freaking crazy.
Yeah, when I got it, it was a juvenile with black colors. It was maybe 2.5 inches in length.
Tell us about the curious sleeping habits of this fish.
Yeah, he's got a weird clock schedule. Ever since I got him, it's always been that way. Kind of goes to bed at 5:30 in the evening when the lights are fully on. And then wakes up in the morning at 8:30 in the morning. Which kind of freaks me out occasionally because when I come back from work and the first fish I look for is that fish, I don't see it. And the beginning I used to be like, oh, did it die? Did it die? I hope it didn't die. And I would come in the morning looking for it, and I would find him in the morning. So now I'm more comfortable with his sleeping habits.
What are some anecdotes and some unique qualities of your reef that you'd want to tell viewers?
I don't know, you noticed it last night when you were filming and maybe even today. You'll notice my tank has a lot of debris floating around in there. I call it my marine snow. And this is basically just small particles of dust and other stuff that the fish especially keep stirring up. The Lenardi is pretty bad at stirring things up.
So it's not bad, but you can definitely see.
Yeah, you definitely see it. And I kind of don't mind it at all because I think a lot of these things, small particles, they get covered with bacteria and they eventually become cold food or something. And so I don't really mind it.
So your
So I
protein,
have no mechanical filtration.
Yeah.
I don't run any filter socks.
just whatever the skimmer can pull out.
Yeah, whatever the skimmer pulls out, that's it. If I did it again, I would probably go with coarser sand,
Yeah.
slightly coarser sand. But I knew I always wanted some wrasses, and I figured that the softer sand may be better for the wrasses. But when I put the sand in, it was about 1.5 to 2 inches all over. But you can see it's blown away completely in some places, especially in the front. And it's gotten pushed in the back. So in some places now it's like 3 inches thick. In some places like there's no sand at all.
So you've been gone on and off for about 6 weeks or something, give or take.
Yeah, I've been gone. for
And you have
about 6
a
weeks.
a little bit of cyano on the sand, and
Yeah,
you could care less.
I don't worry about cyano that much. It comes and goes.
Can we get that one more time, louder on the record, so people know you didn't say it on accident?
I don't worry too much about cyano. It comes and goes.
Cyano happens. It comes and
happens,
goes.
comes and goes.
Pay attention to it. Don't freak out.
Right. I don't worry about treating this kind of outbreak of cyano at all. Unless
Yeah.
it was covering all my rocks and corals, then I would probably have to think about treating it seriously. But this cyano primarily happened because I had a crash with my Chaeto when I was messing around with adding CO2 and removing CO2 from it. And I did crash it, so all of a sudden there was an increase in bioload and nothing to handle it. So that resulted in this, but it'll be gone. Next time you come around, you won't see any cyano.
Yeah.
And it's not because I treated it, it'll just go away.
Well, this is definitely going to be one of the longest videos I ever put up. but there's no doubt that your reef tank is definitely long video worthy. There's so much to see here. Thank you so much for your time and your pearls of wisdom. And yeah, man, you got a fabulous reef tank. I know we both got to hit the road here shortly, so thanks for your time. And now I'm gonna just clip a couple frags while you're busy.
Yeah, I gotta go and pack again, so I'm leaving.
All right, thanks, Sanjay.
All right, thanks.